Okay, folks, let's get started. Um, Today, I'm going to be doing some Reason React, some binding to an NPM library, and probably some other things. But here is the um, here's the app I'm working on. Let me show you this. Um, this is a kind of a note-taking kind of thing, an outlining. Maybe I streamed doing drag and drop the other day, um, and that's fun. This editor is a rich text editor, um, so you can do all the fancy things. Um, and as you'll notice, we've got live synchronization um, between tabs at this point. I'm using a shared worker in the background. And eventually I'll be writing a server so that it isn't just between tabs but also between different devices. But what I want is to have the cursors. I want this cursor to show up. Somebody else, like in Google Docs, somebody else is editing this document, um, and to show you where people are and what they're doing. Now the editor that I'm using is called Quill. And I've been super happy with it so far. It's totally met my needs as far as being customizable enough that I can take it out of kind of the default environment is to have a whole document thing, and here I've got 10 different Quill editors, one for each of these nodes, and it's worked quite well. So happy about that. And the other reason I chose it is that there are a ton of plugins that people have written. So one of these is Quill cursors, right? So multi-cursor module, this is what I want. And so to start things off today, I'm going to install this NPM library, see if I can bind to it, and then tie it into my Reason React little app that I've got going. So let's see. So the options for this are I'll just try using the default options and see how far that gets me. It looks like I will want to create a cursor when another session has a cursor, and I'll put it somewhere. So let's do that. Here's what I'm going to do. First of all, let's go to my Quill thing. This is all these externals for dealing with the API that's pretty imperative for this Quill library. I've got a function where I set up Quill. I give it all these options. This is where I'll want to do cursors true, I think. Yeah, cursors true. Now, of course, we need to install Quill cursors. And let's see. Here I've got a Quill mention is the other library that I've been playing around with. So I'll get Quill cursors, and I think there's a CSS thing that I need to grab. How do I get the CSS for this? Maybe it's just part of the. Wait, no, that's not a CSS file. Here's the CSS file. I knew there was going to be CSS involved. Now if I SCSS, I think unpackage. I totally forget how this works, but I think if we go unpackage.com, we'll cursors. Will that do something? Ah, okay, so it gets the quill cursors.css. Is there, pray tell. Ooh, awesome. It will show me, here's the CSS. So this is how I will require the CSS. So it'll probably be something like quill cursors and then /dist and then quill cursors.css. And I'm using Fastpak, which is a JavaScript bundler implemented in OCaml, and it is also it uses Webpack bundler, so I'm able to do this, require CSS and it'll just work. And these Quill modules, they auto register themselves on the global Quill, or like they require Quill and register themselves, so I don't have to do this. This is just because I'm overwriting the undo redo stuff. Okay, so I think let's make sure my build is in good shape. And now I just need to let's try setting up a quill cursor thing. And what was the code for that? Where was the code for that? Quill cursors. So I'm gonna straight across copy this, do a bs.raw, just to gut check my implementation here. And it'll be called quill id1, and the range will be some range. Oh, quill ranges, it's like index and length. So let's say every, I wonder if this will work. So now every quill instance will have this, we'll just have a phony red cursor showing up. Let's see if that works. And it died. Da, da, da. Okay. So, cannot import modules cursor. Maybe I have to do something different. Oh, okay. So it does actually expect me. That's cool. So let's do ps.module quill cursors external quill cursors. Am I doing this wrong? What's there? Syntax error. Oh, this needs a semicolon. Okay. And we'll do modules cursors quill cursors. Okay, see if that sets things up. And it does not. It might be that I need to do it like a default. Okay, so I'm calling register with quill cursors. Oh, I needed this to bs.val. I forget how this works. Oh, maybe this string needs to be here. It's, if you're having trouble with BuckleScript externals syntaxes, I feel ya. Okay, so actually I need the default export, so I'm going to do that and hope. Module class is not a constructor. Why is that? So we imported our deal and it ended up being nah, which does not inspire confidence. let's just log that out, see if there's anything useful that happens. Okay, this is a function. It's a constructor. This is normal. This is what we expect. Why? Oh, it's called cursor singular, I think. Now, no, it's cursors plural. Where was I doing? Why is it trying to import a singular? Cursor. Oh, this is supposed to, okay. There we go. You know, stringly typed stuff. It's not good. So we get the module and get module cursors. Doesn't have a set? That's not terribly inspiring. Okay, so it says set cursor. The example is wrong. That's unfortunate. Okay, but so user ID, range, name, color. They just gave us the wrong API. Cursor, so user ID, range, name, color. I feel like we're so close. Yay! Okay, so user one is all over the planet, which is great. And then I do things. Cool. So now I just need to actually like synchronize cursors, right? Because these are not real. But it's good to know that I have a way to set a cursor, and let's get rid of that. Now, of course, this is super hacky. Let's make a nice external for it. So it's going to be quill get module cursors. Okay. I'm just going to copy this up here so we keep in mind what we're binding, and it'll be something like get cursors module. I'm actually going to have to look up the buckle script. I was just looking at this. Okay, BS as something to insert a magic string, because this let's see, bs.as cursors, and then this will return a cursors module. Oh, and this needs to be get module. So I need to type cursors module, and then let's have this function set cursor, which takes a cursors module and a string. Well, let's have these be named so I don't forget what things are. ID, that's a string, range. Oh, and I actually have a type for this. That is a range. Boom. And a username that's a string, and a color that, you guessed it, is a string, and it returns unit. So let's see if we can use these and replace our hacky little bs.raw thing. Okay, get cursors module, and then set cursor ID is 1, range is index 0, length 3, username is user1, color is red. Is that type check, first of all? Oh, these have to be floats because JavaScript numbers are all floats. And so I just generally use floats when interacting with JavaScript because when I get a range back, it will have technically float values because that's just how JavaScript rolls. Okay, this is compiling, which is wonderful. Now let's see if it does what I think it should. Yay! Very cool. Let's take a look at the JavaScript source that came up with. Get module. Wow, it opened to the exact right place. Get module cursor, set cursor 1, range. I love it. That's exactly what I wanted. That's like literally the code that I wanted. Oh, and I forgot to publicize this on Twitter, so I will. I'll go ahead and share this link just so others can join us. And just for fun, let's drop it in Discord. Okay. Enough with that. Okay, so where are we? We bound this fancy little bit of JavaScript, and it's great. Now, of course, we want these cursors to actually like correspond to anything real. So how are we going to do that? Well, the first order of business is to tie them into our app state. And in this app, I've got this view type that contains the active node, the edit position, selection, some other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to this, and actually we can jump in and say, let's look at the React state for this, and in the reason state, we've got a record that holds, that allows us to get the, what would this be? The session. So let's just inspect that for a second for fun. Reason state 0. Give me the session. And this has a view, just like I was talking about. The current selection is just, there's only one thing selected, and it's also the active one. And then, yeah. So if I were to, for example, select a bunch of these, because I was going to drag them around, this would now change to have the selection be, it's actually it's a belt immutable set of things. So it's got some things in it. Okay, so that's our view state. We want to expand it to say, let's also keep track of all of the, let's call these remote cursors, right? Because this doesn't keep track of your own cursor, it's just other people's cursors. And this probably wants to be a set. But we're gonna make our own. We're gonna make our own set type, right? We're not gonna use like the built-in string set or anything, because this will be a set of record items. So let's actually look at the the source code for our belt. Let's see, belt set string is probably a good thing to build off of. Maybe? I've forgotten how this works. Okay, belt set. There is a basically you can create your own set type, but you have to provide it with a comparator, I think. Oh, I'm doing this somewhere. Where am I doing it? Here we go. This is a I've got a hash set of functions kind of thing. I use it for managing subscriptions. So id.makeHashable is how we get this all going. All right. So we want a module. Well, first, what does a cursor look like, right? And so we know that it needs a user ID that's a string, user name that's a string. This is a visible thing. And I'm guessing that the user IDs will be deduplicated because that would make sense. A color that's a string, and a range that is a quill dot range. Okay. So we're happy about that. So now we need a let's call this a cursor hashable. Type T is our cursor hash. We're just being lazy here, right? So this is use OCaml's hash that's probably slower than something that we could make ourselves. Use OCaml's strict equality. Ooh, we don't actually want strict equality here. We want loose equality. Structural equality. I think. Actually, we could get fancy. We could say if the user IDs are the same, this is not a multi-cursor environment. One.user ID equals two.user ID. I love it. And does that mean we can just hash the user ID? I think so. This is actually getting a little weird, and maybe I didn't pick the right data. Maybe I just need a list, honestly, because I don't need. Do I need the deduplicating stuff? Yeah, I like it actually. Like this is cool, I guess. Nah, I'm just gonna use a list, actually. Because this is actually more complicated than I need. Remote cursors, because I can just iterate. There won't be like a million cursors, right? So we don't actually have to get too fancy. If I find out, wait, I should have accounted for a million cursors, I can do that later. Okay, remote cursors, starting out with none. Looks like all my types are checking out because I always create an empty view with this. And ooh, actually, just for fun, let's do our same gambit where we say that here's the other thing, because this cursor, it needs to know what node it's on, right? Range is not enough to disambiguate because, like I said, we've got a bunch of different nodes that each have their own range coordination. So we'll do node.id. Okay, cool. So what if we start out and we say that there's going to be a pseudo cursor, a fake cursor, on root. I am root, and the range is index 0, length 3, just to keep with the theme. Of course, these have to be floats. Wait, what am I missing? Color. Let's do something different this time. Color green. Okay, so now we have this idea that remote cursors have, that we start out with a pseudo cursor on here, and now I have to do a little bit of plumbing to say what is so cursors for a given node that I'm rendering. Is that, am I not allowed to, no, that's real. What's going on? View.cursor. Maybe it hasn't rebuilt. It's dying. Oh, because there's a dependency cycle. How did that? Oh, view's not allowed to depend on Quill. That's what it is. That's fine. I'll just do, because this is a loose, you know, this is a structural type anyway. This needs to be length. Okay, now I think we resolved our dependency loop. So we're going to say cursors, and of course this brings up some errors, one of them being, hey, you didn't tell me what cursors that this node needs to render. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say store.session.view.cursors keep cursor.node equals node.id. Now this is not turning out. This is a expected to have type something. Okay, so this is a session has a view. Cursors does not belong. I don't understand. Oh, remote cursors, that's why. Obviously. Okay. Maybe I'm actually going to rename this to remote cursors everywhere, because that was confusing. Okay. Type error's gone, except for that, which doesn't actually mean anything. Okay. And now, in my Quill component, instead of doing my fake thing here, I'm going to say, oh, actually I have access to props right here. So let's do props dot remote cursors is dot for each cursor, and let's do, actually I can be fancy and destructure this. ID, range, username, color, 11. Oh, it's called user ID. user ID. Right. So now I think, awesome, only root has it. And it's adorable. And it's green. So, and it makes it not clickable? That's annoying. I need to change that. I think this, probably the CSS is a little borked here because that should not be stealing, let's see, pointer events, none, right? It should not, yeah, okay, now I can click, great. Yeah, I wonder why it doesn't have that. Well, I'll add that to my index.html style overrides because CSS just lets you do that. Pointer events, none. Oh, it's plural, I think. Quill cursors. Okay. Now, awesome. So it's not impeding my clicks, which is good. Okay, so we have integrated the Quill cursors module from NPM. We have tied it into our view state a little bit. Now we just need to update the view state with the remote data. This is where it gets fun. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to explain a little bit about the architecture of this app because we've got a shared worker that is synchronizing the state between these two things, right? So let's take a look at shared worker. And it's got there's a little protocol where the server will send a tab a message that's either, hey, this data changed in some way, or here's the initial data if you're requesting that, or you need to rebase all your, or there was a rebase and you need to update a bunch of different nodes. And then a tab can say, hey, I just closed, you should unregister me, or I'm initializing, this is my session ID, please give me the initial data, or I just did a change, or please undo or redo from my session. And what we need is, we need another message that is selection changed, and this will be, there'll be a node.id and a range, and a quill.range. Data.node.id. There we go. So my selection changed, and actually when we initialize, let's initialize with, this will be session ID and, well, initial info, you can call it that. Session ID is a string, username is a string. We're not gonna assign you a color right here. User ID is now. This is a little fake, and I'll change it later. But multiple tabs are not going to have different users, right? There's going to be one logged in user for a given browser. That's just how cookies work, right? But for the moment, I'm going to pretend that different tabs have different users because this is going to apply when I go to multi-device syncing. So let's be fun for the moment. In practice, this user ID needs to be the session ID because if I have multiple tabs open and they're all the same user, there need to be different cursors. So probably the cursor ID that I send down will be like user ID : session ID or something. And I'll fake it with the username. So let's call this initial info. Okay, and we get down there was a selection changed, or the client says, hey, I changed my selection. I'm now on this node with this range. Isn't that great? And then the server will send down to each of the tabs, here are the current remote cursors, and there'll be a list of view.cursor, I think. And it'll obviously be filtered out, have filtered out the one for the session that you're currently in. I like that. So, of course, now we've got one thing where it says, hey, you're not, this serialization junk that you've got going doesn't expect it to be of this type. And now you get a sneak peek of my magical auto serialization bonanza if VS Code doesn't die on me. Here we go. So I've been building into Reason Language Server a thing that kind of using all the type navigation stuff that it has, just so that because it needs to know what all the types are, I now have an engine for figuring out what all the types are. So there's a thing that will create JSON serializers and deserializers. If you say this type in this file, give me something that can recursively serialize it. So all of the types that it depends on transitively, just get it done. So I'm going to rerun that. And now it's saying, so I ran it, generated the serializers, and it's saying, you need to tell me how to deserialize a js.t, because I don't know how to do that. And you're using a js.t in your stuff, because cursor contains a js.t. So in these transform helpers, there's some things that, JS date, I do that manually. So serialize JS 41234T, and I'm gonna magic this. So this is a js.t a to a js.json.t. And actually, this might still break. Worker protocol, serialization, deserialization. This has a string. Okay, so the real error is down here. Oh, I need to tell it how to deserialize, and it's the same deal. It's a JavaScript object, and so I'm going to do result.ok. It'll always just work. And it's unhappy about that. Oh, because there is a arc. So this actually might break down. I'm going to ignore the transformer thing. And this is on the deserialized side. Sorry, this is kind of in the weeds right here, but we'll see if it has the effect that I want. Hey, it looks like it got happy. Now we get to the actual problems of, okay, now shared worker is not handling all of the things, right? Not handling all of the messages they might get. Actually, this switch statement is super messy, so I'm just going to fix it now. Okay. So then I can drop all these wrapping OKs, and oh, because this is OK message. Great. So the other thing that it's supposed to take is selection changed, and it's node ID in range. And for the moment, I'm not going to do anything. Now this, I changed this to take a username and a user ID. Actually, don't want to do that. As long as I'm faking it, I'm just going to fake it all the way. So scrap that. This is a string again. It was fun while it lasted. I'm going to rerun this. So let's get rid of that. Okay. So now shared worker's fine. This is fine. What else? So when we initialize, we do that. So well, let's have selection change do something. Okay, because what we need is we'll be keeping track of the cursors. And I think it'll just be a ref list, maybe. Again, why get too fancy? And actually, on that note, I'm going to use a good old hash table, just because they're so easy. And it's mutable, and that's what I want. Okay. So down here we say hash table dot replace, and it's my cursors, and I'm saying for session ID, let's have how does this work? Okay. I'll take care of that other stuff later. So it's just going to be node ID and range. I'm just going to hang on to that. It's fine. And what we're going to do is for the other cursors. So where do I have one of these? Okay. For each of these ports in this map, if the session ID is different than this session ID, let's send down a new, so remote cursors that has, do I need to send down the whole list each time? Maybe. Well, we'll start with that because it's easiest, and then we'll do something else later probably. Okay. So we do cursors, and it's hash table fold. How does this work? Okay, we have the function, we have the table, we have the initial. So session ID, node ID and range, collector, So, and then cursors, and then the initial list. If session ID does not equal SID, which is the current port's session ID, we do something. Otherwise, we just return the current collector. And we are sending down cursors. So this wants a, I always forget. Okay, user ID, which we've decided is going to be the session ID concatenated with the user ID eventually, but we don't have like actual user management at the moment, so it's fake, and that's fine. Fake color. Everybody's going to be red for the first minute. Then I'll maybe find out a way to randomize them. Actually, I probably want the color. I probably want the randomization of the color to be handled on the client side. I'll do that later. Okay, so this is the range, and node is the node ID. And okay, so this is working. This is sending a list of the cursors. Cool. Well, let's. So now we need to handle that over here, right? This is saying, you're not handling stuff. And again, why do I do this myself? Let's just do a nested switch. It's fine. Gotta love that. Okay. And okay, so we're saying if we get a remote cursors message with cursors, now actually the update will be a lot easier if I just send single cursor changes, I think. Because what I need to do is I need to find like what was the previous node that a given cursor was on and remove it, but I'm too lazy for that right now. So let's do state.session. I'm going to update the current session with a new view that has remote cursors. And then I'm going to trigger an update to all of the nodes that have cursors on. Like I said, this is broken, but I'm fine with that. Okay. So cursor, we want event view node cursor.node. So this is saying, hey, all elements that care about this node and how it's viewed, you should update now because we changed something. Now this won't actually update because I don't have the update logic yet, but let's see if we've broken anything so far, right? I need to rebuild the shared worker and terminate it so that it will restart. And what I'm looking for here, I'm going to go into the console and see, has my view updated to show that there was a remote cursor down in CLAN? It looks like it has. No. Oh, of course it hasn't, because I'm not sending I'm not sending the event from the view side up to the worker, right? I need to send this selection changed event. And where are we going to do that? We probably want a we want a thing in our node body where it's like on cursor change, on cursor change option range, because it might no longer be selected, right? We will phone home, right? And we'll need, actually, if it's not selected, I'm going to ignore it because I'm assuming that there's going to be something else that'll be selected later, right? So we've got a range, this node here, so well, a couple of things that are off right now. We need to add an on cursor change function that is a cool.range into unit. Oh, actually, yeah. Now, this might be confusing to some of you. If you're using Reason React, you're like, wait, there's a props record? And yes, I'm doing a props record because that's what I need. I'm actually, if you look at one of these nodes, it's kind of funny. This has a, that didn't work, here we go. There is a single prop that is a record. Actually, I don't know if I can inspect that. How do we get here? Oh, right, it doesn't save. So state holds props because that's what I need. And so this is all of the props that I passed down, and I just stored on state to get around some weird things that are involved in interacting with a stateful imperative API like Quill. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, so I've got an on cursor change. That's great. And it's now still unhappy. Node types. Is something, did I do another, I did another one. I'm gonna have to fix that eventually, I think. But for now, that's fine. Okay, so now the client store needs a cursor change function that takes a node ID and a quill.range. There should be something, I should make something in the autocomplete that like super gets in your face if you don't, if you're creating a loop. I'm going to ignore this in this implementation because it's not something I care about right now. This is what I'm looking at. Okay. So if we get a cursor change node ID range, we're going to post message with worker protocol dot selection changed node ID range. It's that easy. I love it. So now at least we should be getting actually let's terminate that first and then do this, inspect, and I think, yeah, so I'm logging out all of the messages that I get, and here's one. Um, so when I change, oh, but I'm still not calling it. Okay, couple of pieces still to wrap up, right? I need to call somewhere. I'm listening to selection changes for various reasons. On selection change, love it. If there is a new range, then some range, okay, I need to do on selection change with the range. On cursor change? Okay. Yeah, autocomplete was letting me down there for a second. Okay. Ba-ba-bum. Not impl. Oh, I'm falling out of the job. This is, I think this is an error in my magic automatic serialization deal. Yeah. The I'm gonna just gloss over what's happening here because I want to. That's a hot mess. Let's just hope that worked. 30, not impl. So I'm bailing in some circumstances because I don't know how to transform all of the things, and maybe I should just stay away from using the raw JavaScript deal and instead pretend it's something else. Or actually, it looks like that worked. So I could use BS driving abstract probably, and that would be a different weird thing. Maybe I'll do that. You know, give BS driving abstract a good college try. I haven't used it really nearly at all. And oh, it occurs to me I should probably check my comments, see if anybody's here. Nope. Well, hey, Andre. Okay. Driving abstract is cool. It's right here. And we want basically something that will pretend it's a record, kind of. So quill.range, currently I'm treating as just this straight JavaScript object. But if I do, how does this work? ES.deriving abstract. We say index is a float, length is a float. I'm gonna wrap this because I don't want these accessors just all up in the global whatever. Type range equals range dot range. So now instead of actually let's have this defined somewhere else. about in Vue, for example, so that I can get away from that weird circuitous, whatever it's called, circular dependency. Is that working? Don't tell me this is, no. What's going on? What are we sad about? Actually, a number of things. Okay, so this wants to be range.range index equals 0, length equals 0. Right, okay. Now that's fine. Now this needs to be, well, I'll just search for all the places where I have this and then replace it. And say this view.range.range. This as well. Also, this means we do range.length of selection, range.length of selection, oh, view.range.length. Yeah? Length get, changing things up on me. View.range, that is, I don't like that. Index get, that is just, I mean, it's fine. Things are fine. Feels a little weird, a little awkward. Index get, but I can get used to a lot of things. Okay, and we just change it everywhere. And I just hope I'm not like putting length where I mean index. Is that be a hot mess? Okay. Range.index get length get use these ranges all over the place, aren't I? Okay, this is now view.range.range. This view.range.index get view.range.length get okay, now I can rerun our Delio and it'll work. We just need to provide a way to serialize view range. And this is going to be don't do anything because it was actually fine to start with. So I'm going to do obj.magic because it was already a plain JavaScript object. Don't worry about it. Okay, so we've been playing in the weeds, sending messages back and forth. It's the best. Oh, backspace isn't working. Oh, because I messed something up. I'm sure it's one of these places where I meant to put yeah, I'm sure this is supposed to be index get and length get. Okay, now is backspace working? Yes. Um, I thought that I was going to be, that I was logging messages. Maybe I'm not, actually. Oh, I'm only logging the initial message. So let's do, okay, good stuff. So we should have, getting back to our previous thing, what is going on? So session has a view, remote cursors, moment of truth. It's wrong. So let's add in a little console log. Just to make sure that this is happening correctly. And the message is at least getting sent. So we do this. Well, we got to restart our shared worker. It's always fun. Okay, we've got some, what? Why is it, it's getting undefined ranges. Which is not what I want. Where's my, okay, on selection changed. Here's the new range. If it is good, you do it. Okay, I'm gonna log this. Sending range. See what happens. Okay. Okay, now this is changing. Now it's changing. If I just type something in, oh, if there's a text change, it doesn't update the selection. So I'll need to also hit one of these. So some range. Let's also update the selection in addition to whatever else we're doing. But we're still like nothing's coming through, right? We're not actually sending the range, or we're not getting the range. We are sending it, we're not getting it. So let's add a debugger over here for when we're sending this selection change event. I think this is how it goes. Something like that. We're saying here is the range. It has this great index. Now, maybe it's just not. It's probably my serialization magic. Because we have, so in transform helpers, we've got handling a range and that was bad. Okay, so here deserialize, it needs to be a result. This is why you shouldn't play with Magic, kids. It's too dangerous. Okay. Get our shared worker up and running. And oh, I'm gonna drop that debugger in a hurry. Okay. Good news. We're getting the cursor to show up, right? So this has length 3. This has length 5. Now we're in different nodes. Now we're getting like a kind of an annoying duplication where we show up and it's like you get 2 just to count, but then thereafter there's just 1. Okay. So, and of course this was attached to the previous thing. So we have selection changes being synced up, being sent down, and we just need our quill thing to notice, hey, remote cursors have changed. I need to update accordingly. And I'm going to hang on to the previous cursors. View.cursor. And cursors can be ref to an empty list. Self.state.rev cursors is remote cursors. Yeah, I'm manually holding on to previous props because ReasonRack doesn't do that for me. Okay, did update. Now we say if our previous cursors is different, if self.state.rev cursors, we can do strict equality. Remote cursors. Then we go through the remote cursors and we do map, no, for each, that's right. And it was this thing that we did up here that we probably should now move to be a different place. Here we go. This should be in the on mount. I don't have it on mount. On mount. Self, right? Self.state. That's probably called mount. Did mount. There we go. I'm getting my Reactisms here for a second. Self.state.quill. How does this work? That's fun. Now, is it a? Oh, it's an option to a ref. Let's see. Switch. Self.state.quill. It's none. Nothing happened. If it's some. Get on with our lives. Okay. So now our did mount thing makes some kind of sense. And this also makes some kind of sense. So we're destructuring again user ID, range, username, color. And I should probably go through the previous cursors and just remove all of them. But this should be fine. No, it won't be fine. What's our, how do we remove? Remove cursor by user ID. Love it. So state.prev cursors for each user ID will get cursor module, remove cursor, and of course we haven't defined that yet. It'll be remove cursor, and it just takes a string. We're done. Okay. Down here, I can't spell. We're so close. You can feel it. I might. Ooh, fancy things are happening. What? So that is doing something. What is it doing? Oh, it's because I'm not updating. I'm not telling nodes to update the red point. But we're basically there, right? We've got cursors. They're happening. They're not totally happening correctly, but you know, take what you can get. Oh, and actually, I think the hacky little CSS that I dropped in is getting in our way, because now hover's not working because I said don't get in my face, all you pointer events. I'll have to make that more specific at some point. Okay, now hover's working. Okay. So somehow there were like a million cursors that just showed up. And they're not leaving. But this is a fun bug. I think I'm going to sign off. This is probably enough excitement for the moment. And we'll call that good. Thanks for watching. Hit me up with questions. I haven't really gotten the hang of answering questions during a stream, but I'll look through afterwards, and feel free to get at me on Twitter with any other follow-ups. See you later.